It's July 1st, Dolphins fans. What does that mean? Well, training camp is later this month. July 16th is when rookies report. 23rd is when the veterans report. And it's time to look at some of the unanswered questions on this Miami Dolphins team before training camp gets underway in just about 16 and 23 days. What it also means is that it's a new month here at Chat Sports, which means a new sub-battle. And this month, Dolphins Today is taking on Eagles Now. They have about 75,000 subscribers. We have 57K. Can we catch up to them relatively soon? I hope so, but at least we need to beat them in the month of July. F the Eagles, F Jalen Hurts. We got a better team, so hit that sub button and prove to us here at Chat Sports that the Dolphins are better. All right, unanswered question number 1 on the Miami Dolphins. I think this is the most obvious question surrounding the team. Who starts at right guard? Like, that is the one thing that we have consistently talked about here at Dolphins Today over the past 2 or 3 weeks is that even with Calais Campbell and Marcus May being signed, the issue at right guard still looms relatively large, and this is a real problem on a team that has aspirations to win a Super Bowl. Like, the right guard spot is absolutely horrific. Yeah, I like everything else, right? Teron Armstead, Austin Jackson as your bookend tackles are fine. Isaiah Wynn, I think, is in for a big bounce-back season for Miami, and if he's able to stay healthy, look out. I like Aaron Brewer coming over from the Titans on that 3-year, $21 million deal to replace Connor Williams. But then that right guard spot, Robert Jones is a projected starter, but it could be Jack Driscoll, it could be Liam Eichenberg, it could be Lester Cotton. Either way, whatever way you want to try to spin this around, the right guard issue is not good for Miami. And it kind of makes me beg the question, like, am I dumb? Like, I feel like you guys are with me on this. Like, are the Dolphins just simply not going to address this issue? Like, Greg Van Roten, who's a right guard, is the top offensive lineman available on free agency, especially on the interior. Like, why wouldn't Miami go out there and sign him? They have $16 million cap space right now. And sure, you might say where they're holding out to save some for extensions, but half of those extensions they do, whether it be Tyreek Hill, Javon Holland, or it wouldn't really be Javon Holland, but Tua or Tyreek Hill, could end up saving you money against this year's cap. So signing Greg Van Roten feels like a no-brainer to me, coming off one of his best seasons of his career, including a top 10 interior offensive lineman pass block grade. Like, it feels too obvious to sign him, which is why I feel like a big-time Dumbo here and don't really understand why it hasn't been done yet. But are you with me? Do you feel dumb, or am I just dumb? Should the Dolphins sign Greg Van Roten? If you're with me, type S for sign. If you think I am dumb and they should pass, type P for pass. Number 2, pretty obvious as well. Does Tua Tagovailoa get extended prior to training camp getting underway? This felt like a soft deadline for Miami to get this done. And I don't like the signs right now or wherever things are heading, because 2 or 3 weeks ago, everyone publicly on the NFL, ESPN, everyone else said there's optimism and the two sides are likely going to get a deal done prior to training camp. But everything is kind of flipped, and I am not so sure that is going to happen anymore. Jeff Darlington said the optimism has gone a little bit. And there could be a disaster looming here for Tua and the Fins. Like, I don't want a holdout occurring. I don't want a hold-in occurring because they can't get an extension done. And you might ask, well, what's the difference between holding out and holding in? Well, holding out, he's obviously not there at training camp. Holding in is being there, but not participating in team activities. We saw this a little bit at mandatory minicamp. Tua participated in 7-on-7. He participated in team drills, but when it got to 11-on-11, and there's even a slight chance of getting hit, even though quarterbacks never get hit, he decided to not participate. So I don't want this to loom over this team, because this roster is talented enough to make a run in the postseason and fight for a Super Bowl. But if you get off to a bad start because your quarterback isn't fully locked in, this could be a disaster for Miami. I'm getting an extension done if I were the Dolphins. Number 3 on our unanswered questions, Javon Holland. Will he get extended before the season gets underway? This is something that I think needs to get done. Holland entering the final year of his rookie contract after being a second-round pick out of Oregon in 2021. He has been terrific for Miami. He had a great first 2 seasons for the Fins, and then had a little bit of a down year in 2023, had a little bit of injury history as well this past season. Missed some time, but he's one of the best safeties in the league, and to me, it just makes too much sense. I need a Javon Holland extension done prior to training camp and hell, prior to the regular season getting underway. When you think of what the Dolphins have in their secondary right now, it is a lot of veteran pieces. Kendall Fuller, Jalen Ramsey, Jordan Poyer, Kader Kohu. But then you have Javon Holland. He is the lone young guy and young cornerstone piece that this secondary can really lock in on for the future. I don't want to risk him going into free agency next year. I want him extended. And if you don't get an extension done with him or Tua, you could only use the franchise tag on one next offseason, which risks the other one potentially leaving. Get a Javon Holland extension done right now. Are you with me? Do the Dolphins need to extend Javon Holland prior to training camp and definitely the regular season? If you're with me and pounding the table for a Holland extension, let me know by typing your Ys. If you're saying, hey, it's all right, we'll let it play out, type your Ns. Number 4 on unanswered questions, and this is really just like a look ahead, if you will, but what wide receivers will make this roster when we get into training camp? Because this is an absolutely loaded room that they currently have. You have the best wide receiver duo and the best wide receiver trio in the NFL with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Odell Beckham Jr. 6th-round rookie Malik Washington out of Virginia. I have him slotted in as the main slot guy / wide receiver 4. But you also have names like Braxton Berrios, River Craycraft, Eric Ezukama, Taj Washington, the 7th-rounder from USC. Like, this is an absolutely loaded room, and to me is the best part of this entire Dolphins roster. And it's a good problem to have. Like, don't get it twisted. It is a good thing that the Dolphins have so many wide receivers that are deserving of a roster spot. It's just going to be kind of devastating to see one of these guys end up not making this roster and land on a different team come 2024 regular season, because in a perfect world, like, I'd love Miami to have them all on their team making a difference. If I had to give a prediction and project on who ends up making the 53-man roster, obviously Tyreek Hill, Waddle, and OBJ. I'm going to have Malik Washington. I've kind of also said that Braxton Berrios feels a lock to me due to his ability to really provide some special teams value in the return game, and he's been an experienced wide receiver as well. I feel like the top 5 is an absolute lock, and producer Coop's telling me Alex Earl has to be in Miami too, but all right, Coop, relax over there, little horn dog. But the last one, River Craycraft, is the 6th name I'm going to go with. You could go with Eric Ezukama. You can go with Taj Washington. If I had to predict what's going on, I think they go Craycraft because he's a bigger wide receiver, good size to him. And then you also have Taj Washington on your practice squad, and unfortunately, I'd like to keep Ezukama on our P squad, but if not, I'm okay letting him fly. Craycraft, a little bit bigger in size. I think I would keep him as our 6th guy. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we are going to have the #1 coverage on the Miami Dolphins during training camp, and on roster cutdown day, we will have it for you in full. So hit that sub button to never miss a piece of Dolphins news. Just past 57K subscribers. Appreciate all the new real ones. Make sure you're locked in and continue to join the channel. All right, final unanswered question that we have to talk about here heading into training camp is the health of both Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. Your 2 lead edge rushers, you just don't know where they are going to be in terms of health going into training camp in the regular season. Jalen Phillips coming off a torn Achilles just around Black Friday when it happened in MetLife against the Jets. And then when Bradley Chubb tore his ACL at the end of the season as well. Like, it's not great to have your 2 lead edges coming off a torn ACL and torn Achilles. And if they're not going to be ready for week 1 against the Jaguars on September 8th, you're going to have to rely on 2 rookies, if not signing a piece to play right away earlier in the year. Like, if those 2 happen to miss time, and I wouldn't predict that both of them miss, maybe one of them misses, and I'd probably lean Jalen Phillips over Bradley Chubb because it's a little bit easier to come back from an ACL than Achilles. But either way, like, I'm not trying to have to rely on Chop Robinson and Mohamed Kamara as your 2nd and 3rd pass rushers week 1 against a high-octane offense like the Trevor Lawrence-led Jacksonville Jaguars. Shaq Barrett's going to be a good piece, ready to go week 1, but having Chop, I know I love him, having him be your 2nd guy and having Mo Kamara be your 3rd is kind of devastating, so you need one of those 2, if not both of them, to be fully healthy, and hopefully they're going to be able to get fully right. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Make sure you are following me on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff, talking about the Fins on a daily basis. You want to get covered on everything surrounding the Miami Dolphins, Twitter, and subscribe. So go follow me at Nic_Rohloff.